Every day, life silently asks you one question. Are you in control of yourself, or are you reacting to everything around you? Most people never stop to answer it. They spend their lives reacting, resisting, and regretting. Stoicism exists to end that cycle. Stay with this video until the end, and you will learn how the Stoics built calm, discipline, and unshakable strength in a chaotic world. 4. Stoic presence is not loud, it is unavoidable. Here is a paradox most people misunderstand. The most commanding individuals in any room are rarely the loudest. They are the ones whose silence feels deliberate, whose words feel placed, not spilled, whose pauses create tension instead of awkwardness. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire not by shouting orders, but by speaking only when speech was necessary. Stoic presence comes from 3 internal conditions. Self-possession, you are not rushed by others' urgency. Clarity, you know what you are saying before you speak. Inner authority, you do not seek permission to finish a thought. When these exist, interruption becomes socially uncomfortable, not for you, but for the interrupter. 5. Why people stop listening before you finish. Here is another uncomfortable truth. People interrupt not when they disagree, but when they believe your words are expendable. This belief forms quickly. It forms when you over-explain, when you hedge every sentence, when you speak without direction, when you talk to be liked instead of understood. Stoicism teaches economy of thought, emotion, and speech. Epictetus said, "Speak only if it improves upon silence," not because silence is sacred, but because unnecessary speech weakens authority. When your words wander, others feel licensed to wander too. 6. Stoicism does not teach you to demand, it teaches you to embody. This is critical. Stoicism is not about verbal dominance, it is not about controlling others, it is about self-command. When you command yourself, your breath steadies, your tone settles, your eyes stay level, your body remains still. Your words land differently. You do not chase attention, you hold it. People sense when someone is internally anchored, and they hesitate before interrupting anchored people. 7. The foundation before the words. Before we ever speak about the 3 words themselves, you must understand this. Words only work when they rest on character. Without inner alignment, commands sound aggressive, confidence sounds performative, silence sounds insecure. Stoicism builds from the inside out. This is why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily who he was before speaking to anyone else. In the next part, we will move from principle to practice. We will break down the first word, why it arrests attention, why the brain responds to it instantly, and why Stoics understood its power long before psychology named it. But remember this before continuing. If you do not respect your own voice, no phrase will save you. You do not need louder words, you need rooted presence. And that is where Stoicism begins.
Part 2. The weight of words, how Stoics command respect without raising their voice. Most people believe respect comes from volume. Stoics knew it comes from presence, and presence is not loud. Presence is grounded. 1. Why people interrupt you, and why it's not what you think. People rarely interrupt because they are rude. They interrupt because they sense hesitation. Hesitation is not always visible. It hides in apologetic tone, rushed speech, excessive politeness, unfinished sentences, nervous explanations. When you speak as if your words are optional, others treat them as optional. Epictetus warned, "How long will you wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Every interruption is a test, not of your dominance, but of your self-perception. Do you believe your thought deserves to finish? If you don't, no one else will. Stoicism begins internally. Authority is not asserted outward, it is felt inward first. 2. The Stoic law of conversational gravity. In Stoicism, gravity is not physical, it is ethical and psychological. Marcus Aurelius commanded armies without shouting. Why? Because his presence carried certainty. People interrupt those who seem uncertain. They listen to those who sound anchored. Certainty does not mean arrogance. It means you speak at a steady pace. You pause without fear. You do not rush to justify. You allow silence to work for you. Silence is not weakness. Silence is pressure. Seneca wrote, "He who knows when to speak and when not to holds power over himself." Most people fear silence. Stoics use it. 3. The inner shift that stops interruptions before they happen. Before words, there is posture. Before posture, there is belief. Interruptions decrease when you internally shift from, "I hope they listen," to, "This is worth hearing." This is not confidence training. It is self-alignment. When you believe your words matter, your body communicates it. Shoulders settle, breathing slows, voice lowers, sentences become deliberate. People don't interrupt calm authority, they interrupt anxiety. Stoics trained calm the way soldiers train muscle. 4. Listen, not a request, a signal. The word listen works because it is not emotional, it is instructional. You are not saying, "Please respect me, I'm offended, I need validation." You are saying, "Attention is required." This aligns with Stoic discipline, logos, rational order. Epictetus taught that reason must lead emotion. Listen speaks to reason. Use it calmly, never sharply, never defensively. Example, "Listen, this part matters." No explanation, no apology. That alone resets the dynamic. 5. Important. Reclaiming hierarchy without conflict. Interruptions assume hierarchy. The interrupter subconsciously believes, "My thought outranks yours." When you say important, you reclaim hierarchy without hostility. You are not attacking the person, you are elevating the idea. Example, the important point here is, this triggers the brain's priority filter. Neuroscience confirms when something is labeled important, attention sharpens automatically. Stoics understood this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not be distracted by the trivial." When you mark something as important, you invite others into order, not conflict. 6. Now, the Stoic weapon against delay and dismissal. People interrupt because they assume this can wait. The word now collapses that assumption. Stoicism teaches that only the present exists. Seneca warned, "While we delay, life passes." When you say now, you anchor the conversation in reality. Example, "Now, let me finish this thought." Not aggressive, not emotional, final. Now does not argue, it grounds. 7. Why Stoics never say sorry when interrupted. This is crucial. Sorry is not politeness, it is self-demotion. Every time you say sorry for being interrupted, you communicate, "My presence is inconvenient." Epictetus was clear, no one can diminish you without your consent. Sorry gives consent. Stoics apologize only for moral failure, not for existing. There is nothing virtuous about shrinking. 8. The Stoic replacement, calm continuation. Instead of sorry, go ahead, use listen, there's more. This phrase does three things simultaneously: signals attention, confirms unfinished thought, reclaims space without aggression. It is neutral, it is composed, it is stoic. No explanation follows, you continue speaking. This teaches others how to treat your voice. 9. Speaking less, carrying more weight. Stoics never competed in noise. They believed what is rare is valuable. When you speak less, interruptions naturally decrease because your words feel measured. Practice. Pause before responding. Remove filler words. Let sentences end fully. Do not rush to defend. Calm speech disarms impulsive interruption. 10. The deeper Stoic lesson. This is not about conversation tactics. It is about self-command. How you speak reveals how you see yourself, how much space you believe you deserve, how grounded your mind is. Stoicism teaches, master yourself first, the world will follow. When your inner posture is firm, interruptions fade, not because others change, but because you do.
The Stoic presence, when your words no longer need permission. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize something uncomfortable. They are not being ignored because they lack intelligence. They are not being interrupted because they lack value. They are being interrupted because they have not fully inhabited their presence. Stoicism teaches a brutal but liberating truth. The world responds to how deeply you respect yourself, not to your tone, not to your volume, not to your titles, but to the inner posture behind your words. In Part 1, you learned how language is power and why interruptions are never random. In Part 2, you learned the three Stoic words, listen, important, now, and how they rewire attention. Now we go deeper, because mastering these words is not about speech, it is about identity. The final shift from being heard to being undeniable. Most people want to be heard. Stoics aim for something higher. They become impossible to dismiss. There is a crucial difference. When you want to be heard, you seek permission. When you are undeniable, silence rearranges itself around you. Marcus Aurelius never begged for attention. Seneca never raised his voice. Epictetus never argued to dominate. Yet their words still echo 2,000 years later. Why? Because their speech came from alignment, not insecurity. A Stoic understands this principle deeply. Your words only carry weight when your inner state can support them. No phrase, no matter how powerful, can compensate for a fractured sense of self. That is why this final part is not about what to say. It is about who you must become so that saying less achieves more. Why interruptions are a test of inner order. Interruptions are not insults, they are diagnostics. They reveal how much internal authority you are carrying in that moment. When someone interrupts you, three things happen instantly. Your nervous system reacts. Your self-image is challenged. A choice appears. Most people fail at step 3. They shrink. They apologize. They surrender the moment. Not because they are weak, but because they were never taught that presence is trained. Stoicism teaches that nothing external can diminish you unless you participate in the diminishment. Every time you say sorry when you were not wrong, you silently agree to a lower rank. Every time you rush your words after being cut off, you communicate that your thoughts are negotiable. Every time you abandon your point, you train others to do the same. This is not about blame. This is about awareness. And awareness is the beginning of power. Stoic silence is not absence, it is control. Many misunderstand Stoic silence. They think it means passivity. They think it means withdrawal. They think it means emotional coldness. That is false. Stoic silence is deliberate restraint. Epictetus taught that the disciplined person speaks only when speech adds value. Not to fill space, not to protect ego, not to seek validation. A Stoic does not rush to reclaim the floor when interrupted. They do not panic, they do not compete, they pause. And in that pause, something subtle happens. The room recalibrates. Because silence backed by self-possession is uncomfortable for insecure people. They feel it, they sense it, they stop. This is why the phrase, "Listen, there's more," works so powerfully. Not because of the words, but because of the energy behind them. The inner law. Authority comes before expression. Here is the law Stoics live by. You do not speak to gain authority. You speak from authority already established. That authority is built long before the conversation begins. It is built when you keep promises to yourself. You do not over-explain. You do not seek constant approval. You are willing to be misunderstood. You act consistently with your values. When these things are in place, your words slow down, your tone stabilizes, your presence sharpens, and interruptions naturally decrease. Not because people became nicer, but because they sense structure. Why calm dominates chaos. In every room there is a hierarchy. It is not written, it is not announced, but it exists. And it is determined by emotional regulation. The most regulated person leads. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire not through force, but through restraint. He did not react impulsively. He did not chase agreement. He did not fill silence with justification. And yet their words still echo 2,000 years later. In modern life, the same principle applies. In meetings, the calmest voice anchors the room. In relationships, the composed partner sets the emotional tone. In conflict, the one who pauses controls the direction. This is why saying "now" matters. It brings everyone back into the present where reason lives. The Stoic reframe interruptions as training. Here is where Stoicism becomes powerful. A Stoic does not resent interruptions, they use them. Every interruption is a training ground for composure, self-respect, presence, authority. Instead of thinking, "Why do they keep cutting me off?" a Stoic asks, "Where am I leaking certainty?" This is not self-criticism, it is self-mastery. The Stoic does not change others, they refine themselves, and others adjust naturally. The ultimate goal: fewer words, greater gravity. The end goal is not to dominate conversations. It is to reach a point where you speak less, you pause more, you interrupt no one, and yet no one interrupts you. This is gravity. People lean toward gravity. They orbit it. They respect it instinctively. You do not announce gravity. You become it. A Stoic code for speech. Live by these rules. Speak when your words improve the moment. Pause when emotion rises. Replace apology with clarity. Replace urgency with steadiness. Replace volume with presence. Remember Marcus Aurelius's reminder, "If it is not necessary, do not say it," and Seneca's warning, "No one commands others who cannot command himself." Final integration, the three words as a way of life. The words themselves are simple, listen, important, now, but their power comes from what they represent. Listen equals presence, important equals discernment, now equals mastery of the moment. When these qualities live inside you, your speech becomes secondary. People will wait, people will pause, people will listen, not because you demanded it, but because you never surrendered it.
You don't need to escape the world. You don't need to control others. You don't need perfect conditions. You need mastery over your own mind. Because when your inner world is stable, no external storm can shake you. This is not ancient philosophy. This is how strong people survive and rise quietly.